Hey everyone, I'm going to show you how to do the stockinette stitch in rake or double knitting. This is the chart. Hold it up there so you can see. Actually, I'm kind of holding it upside down. There you go. So the way you read these is you just follow the line where it goes. And that's just what you do. But how this turns out, it's a very plush double-sided knit that looks the same on both sides. So I will move all this stuff around so you can see that chart sitting in the background while I do this. If I can get my cat to leave me alone. Okay. I got a tensioner on my string and I've done a slip knot and got my string just right there. Okay, now we can get started. For this stitch, we're just following this chart back here. You're wrapping every other one. I'd say that'd be a big enough swatch. And you're going back and you're picking up all the ones that weren't wrapped yet. And you're going to push all those down. Now at this point there's two things you can do. You can take just a different colored loose piece of scrap yarn and put down to hold these stitches separate, and then you can do a crochet chain on them when you're done to finish it off. You could leave it just like it is and not do anything, or you can do what I'm going to do. Okay, to finish this cast on, no matter what you do at this point, you're going to be finishing the cast on the same. Which, right there. And if you're not doing anything special with your cast on, at this point you'll just take those bottom loops, take them over the top. I'm actually going to finish off my cast on right now without needing to do a crochet chain to it later. And how I'm doing that one is I'm going to start at the opposite end. See, my yarn is on this peg, so I'm going to start at the very opposite end. You take that one off, and we're actually going to be following that path, the every other peg path that the yarn took. And you just kind of pull on it. You don't want to pull too tight. We're just giving this a very finished edge. And this is really good for like scarves. Well, any project that you're doing that you want both ends to match, this is a good thing to use. Okay, so now that we're down here, we can take our slip knot off. And then you can kind of pull that tight and then re-wrap it. Because here's our other end. Okay, so at this point we're going to go back up here and do this other side. Oops. And you can kind of start seeing where it's working, where it's going to be giving it a nice edge to it. Now technically this method can be done on any rake stitch. It's just some of them are a lot harder to do it than others. Okay, so now we're down at this part, but we have to go back up and down again just because we're following the string. So we weren't at the end quite yet, but this part's real easy. You just remember every other one, which if the one you're pulling on isn't, say I'm pulling on this one, the string's not coming, it's because I'm not pulling on the right one. And we are almost back down there. Oh, I never took that bottom one over. Okay. There we go. And now at this point, this one doesn't need to stay on there because you're going to do another row. But you pull that. That is your cast on edge. From here, all you do is just repeat the pattern. And except this time all you do is just take the bottom over the top. Oops, pop that one off there. Which I like to start with taking the very last peg off, that way that locks that. We're not pulling them and getting extra, the extra yarn this time like we did with the cast on edge. We are just taking the bottoms over the top on both sides. Then you're going to push it down. And push the whole thing down. And you're just going to do this until you get your project to the length you want, which this is just going to be a little swatch, but you can do a scarf. You could use this. It might make kind of like a really thick, you can use that as a really thick headband. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do with it. You can implement it in like sweaters and things as well. Okay, so just keep going until your project is as long as you want it, and then I'll show you how to do the cast off. Okay, now there was one thing I did forget to mention, so I'll do one more row to show you, just a little tip. This is something you can do just when you're starting out, or you can do this through your entire project if you're doing the cast on edge the way I did. If you chose to put the string down after your first row and then just leave that there and finish that up later, then ignore this part. But one thing you can do is you'll notice to avoid this loop right here, after you get your cast on edge done, your first actual row where you're just knitting the bottom over the top just plain, this last one you'll know it's just a big loop and it just wants to hang there. Take and put that on the one before it. And see, I'd done that the row before too. You can either do it all the way through your project, or you can just do it your first one to kind of avoid that big loop right there. It's completely up to you. But we'll go ahead, do that, get both these rows, and then I'll show you the cast off. Okay, and now the cast off that I am going to do, I'm going to take and put all the loops on the one side to the other side. You're going to push them down because we're going to treat these just as one, because this is kind of a bulky stitch. Now notice these ones have more than one on them, and that's perfectly fine. Now for this one we can't just loop, so I twist it and put on there. And now to find my scissors. My cat's laying on them. Okay, we're going to take and cut the string. You want the string to be able to go around it, your area that you're casting off, like 3 times. There are different ways to cast off if you're doing a big huge panel and you don't want to have to deal with all that loose yarn. But this is what we're doing. Okay, so for our cast off we're going to go up the first one, we're going to go to the second and go down through, go back up to the first one and go up. Then we will skip one, and go up the first, go back and go down, skip one, go up the first, go back one, and go down. Skip one. You're just doing this until you get to the end. When you get to the end, of course you skip the one, go up, go back one, and go down. And I go back through that end one again, just so that the yarn's on the end. At this point we can take the whole thing off. And this is how that cast off looks. That's how that cast off looks. It's a very nice finished edge. This is how that cast on looks. They're not the same, they are different, but it gives it a finished edge as well, because if not, it's going to be a very loose edge on it. And of course I showed you how to fix this right here, which if you do, so you'll have some loops up through the side, and that's fine. That actually kind of matches along with how this edge looks, and this is how the other side will look. Alright, that is how you rake knit the stockinette stitch. This is really good for scarves. That's what I suggest you use this stitch for. Okay, any comments or questions at all, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And again, thank you.